welcome back to the Freelance Life. So in today's tutorial we're going to be doing something very fun. I've been researching and looking into stamp making because I wanted to design a stamp for my packages that I mail out from my Etsy shop, and stamps are very expensive, so I was trying to find like an economical way to either make a stamp, and I came across this little like kit from Silhouette. And essentially this little machine takes your drawing or your artwork and it kind of creates like an impression, and I don't know what magic it does, but it does something inside. I'm assuming it's some sort of like heat reversal kind of like stamping mechanism, and then it spits it out and you have your own stamp. So this was like $50, and I was looking at a few stamps, and the sizes that I was looking at and wanting would have cost anywhere between $25 to $50 each. With this, I can make as many as I want, create my own. The actual stamp blocks are not too expensive. I mean, they are kind of expensive, but not too expensive when you look at it from the long run. And I'm very tech savvy and I'm quick to learn, technological type things, and I'm creative and crafty, so I figured I would give this a try. So that is what this video is about today. We are going to be trying out the Mint Stamp Maker from Silhouette, and we will be creating our own little stamp. It's actually really easy. So I just made a small one to start with. I'm probably gonna buy some more stamp blocks. I have a bigger one other than this. I have this one. This came with the kit along with a longer but thinner one. And then I'm gonna buy a few more because there are some other things that I wanted to make. And I thought it turned out really cute. I made one that says "Thanks a Latte." I know it's very punny, with just one of my own sketches, and then using the font that I designed, my Modern Skinny, to write the text. And yeah, so let's get into the video, or the tutorial. Let's get into the tutorial. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to do before I even thought about designing or creating or using the machine was just checking to make sure all of the different elements that were supposed to be a part of it were in the box, and then connecting and setting up the software and things like that. So within this set, I had the Silhouette Mint, an AC adapter, a USB cable, the Mint Studio software, but if you're like me and you don't have a CD drive on your computer, you can download the Mint Silhouette software off of their Silhouette USA website. I'll include the links. And then there was 4 mint inks. It included black, red, blue, and yellow. And then finally they also included 2 mint stamp kits. One was a 15 by 60 millimeter and the other one is a 30 by 30 millimeter. So they're rather small, kind of like between ½ inch to 1 inch. And you get the stamp sheet, which is what you're going to actually insert into the machine, and then a stamp base, mount, and a lid, and then stamp labels to put on top of it. So the next thing that you're going to have to do once you've kind of like figured out you have everything, before I even set up the actual like software and stuff like that, I wanted to make sure I had something to test it with. I designed this cute little "Thanks a Latte" stamp template, I guess you would say. I illustrated the concept on my iPad, and then I exported it as a PSD file that I can open in Affinity Photo, and I loaded that up, and I wanted to add some text to it. So at first I had written the "Thanks a Latte" on my iPad, but I didn't like how it looked, so I ended up using that font that I designed, and then I just wanted to add a little like fun design element, so I went with an arrow, and I have a ton of different elements that I've sketched or drawn or saved on my files system, and I just pulled from one of those and I added it to this, recolored it. And the thing that you have to keep in mind is that whatever you want to be cut out should be in black. So basically whatever you want to have stamped is what is all going to be in black. So keep that in mind when you're designing your elements. So everything that you see on black is what is going to be raised on the stamp, and then I'll be able to stamp it on paper or any of my packaging. And I actually saved this and exported it as a PNG, I wasn't sure if a JPEG would work. I would just suggest using PNG because it doesn't have a background, and that just makes sure that the machine doesn't get confused when you're loading it into the system. Like, this was multiple days of creating this, so I had to design it, unpack it, and then this particular day, my daughter Bella was actually helping me out, and she was, I wanted to show her how to use it too because she was interested. I'm going to end up purchasing some more stamps so that she can create stuff and her sister can create stuff. So if my kids can do this and I can do this, I feel like anyone can do this. It's actually relatively simple once you get used to the software and once you get used to just, working with the machine itself. Mint has, or Silhouette has a fantastic little user manual. So that is kind of like what I'm reading through in a lot of this footage to kind of prepare myself for how to use the actual software. And my daughter is just kind of highlighting like the elements that we're going to actually have to put into the machine. So like the little stamp sheet and then the blocks and things like that. And keep in mind with these stamp sheets, they're wrapped in like a shrink wrap kind of plastic. Do not unwrap them before you stick them into the machine. I had to Google to make sure because they didn't really specify that in the user manual, but don't take the plastic off. I know it seems like, oh my gosh, I'm sticking something plastic and they could melt into some hot machine. It's meant to be that way. So keep the plastic on. And then we have to turn on the machine, connect it. You want to make sure you plug it in. You want to make sure that the studio software is installed before you connect the machine to your computer. So I just turned it on like with it plugged into the wall to make sure it would turn on, and the light was blinking and that was fine. So what we're going to do now is jump into a screen recording I did. And once the Mint Studio has loaded, you want to select design and you will see the available workspace displayed for your selected stamp. So you can select different stamp sizes. So if you want to change the stamp size, you'll want to find the stamp settings panel that's already open on the right hand side, and then select the stamp size that coordinates with the actual stamp size that you have. So in my case, I was using a 30 by 30 millimeter. And if you want to change the measurements from the US system to the metric system, you can do that under preferences. I just kept it as it is because it coordinates with what the stamp measurements are shown when you buy them. So now what you're going to do is, in my case, I had exported my file as a PNG, so I want to open images from outside of Mint Studio. What's nice is that Mint Studio offers you like free downloads, free assets. But because I'm a designer, I'm an illustrator, I like to utilize my own concepts, but you already have a bunch of preloaded things in there. So if you're not too artistic or creative when it comes to that kind of thing, definitely utilize what they have. So to open images from the library, go to the library and double click on a design that you'd like to place on your stamp. And this will have the image placed onto your workspace. And then what I like to do is just select the fit in the drop-down menu on the right-hand side. To just resize it so that it fits proportionally within the size of the actual stamp. You could also add things like text or filters. I didn't do any of that. I wanted to just keep it very simple and clean. And then once you're done, once you're ready to create your stamp, you want to go to the send to mint icon. This is a time where you want to make sure that your mint is plugged in and also plugged into your computer. And you will see on the bottom right hand side that it'll say, like where you see the sentiment, it'll say like connected, mint connected. So that's how you know that it's like ready to go. Making sure everything looks the way you want it to look, then you can just click on the start mint button, and this will basically ready the mint machine to receive your stamp. And then you may then insert that stamp sheet into the mint and make sure that the stamp sheet has the plastic covering still on it. And then you might want to push it in just a little bit, but it'll catch it. You don't have to force it through. It'll basically feed through the mint machine by itself as soon as you insert it. And keep in mind the image will print in reverse because it is a stamp. Once it's printed out, what you're going to want to do is then bend the sheet holder of the printed stamp along those perforated lines, and then you can remove that plastic and the cardboard and remove the actual stamp, like the stamp material very gently. And when you remove that stamp from the sheet holder, the transparent cover basically might adhere to the stamp. If this happens, just basically carefully remove the transparent cover, taking care not to damage the actual stamp. You don't want to cut the sheet. You don't use any type of implement, because it could damage the actual stamp piece itself and cause, markings that you don't want on it to be on it. Once you're done with that, you're gonna basically do what Bella's doing and slide the stamp mount into the stamp base until it clicks in place, and then you're going to remove the protective white liner on top of it, and then carefully position your printed stamp onto that mount. And then we're going to do the fun part, which is inking the stamp. Don't put as much ink as we did. We didn't realize. And basically you are going to have to let this sit for a while in order for the ink to soak in. But basically take whatever color. You can actually do multiple colors if you wanted, just being careful not to mix them. But we just chose blue. I just basically had Bella ink throughout the whole entire image. And then we let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes to give the ink a chance to permeate and absorb into the stamp. And then we used a scrap piece of paper to test the stamp, and we made several impressions to ensure that any excess ink that was on the stamp was basically removed. And you can use those little included labels to identify your stamp by stamping them like we did, and then affixing it to the stamp lid and the base. And additional ink can be applied as needed, but it basically, I believe you can use it up to 50 times without having to re-ink it, which is great. And this was our final stamp. It says, "Thanks a latte." I think it turned out really cute. It was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, and I'm really excited to buy some more of these base blocks so that we can create some more elements that my kids can use, and that I can use for packaging orders for my Etsy shop. So that was how you use the Silhouette mint machine. Absolutely well worth the investment. I'm gonna have way more stamps than I thought I was gonna be able to purchase in a small amount of time, and I get to create them. Give it a try. If you end up picking up a mint, let me know in the comments below. Tell me how your experience was. Yeah, I hope you guys like this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.